This February is actually a pretty positive, pretty empowering month. We had a lot of the major changes back in March, so now we're just following through with that, and there's some pretty nice astrology to look forward to. If you're excited about what the astrology has in store for you this April, make sure that you like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so that you are always up to date with what the stars have in store for you. If you're new here, hi, I am Maren. I am an astrologer using the tropical zodiac with Western Hellenistic techniques. I offer daily and weekly horoscopes along with other courses and content exclusively on passes. So if you would like to view my horoscopes, my courses, or ask me your specific astrology questions and get an answer from me, check out passes down below. So this month is not quite as active as March or as May. It's a bit of a filler episode, but still a cute filler episode, so no complaints. We start out on the 1st with Mars in Cancer trine Saturn in Pisces. I don't love having Mars in Cancer, but it is better than Mars being in Gemini over the past 7 months. Mars in Cancer is in its fall, meaning that as a planet, it is not quite as easily constructive or easily harmonious in Cancer, because Mars is a planet of aggression and of action, and Cancer wants to stay safe, wants to stay protected, and not necessarily go guns blazing. However, having Mars in Cancer trine Saturn shows that even with working through emotional issues in a slow, steady way rather than getting things done immediately, we have grounding and we have focus and we have commitment. Mars and Saturn trine is great for having committed, focused action in the beginning of the month, even if the issues that we're dealing with are particularly emotional and are particularly annoying because they are not really getting responses clearly from the world. That's one of the annoying things about Mars and Cancer is like something might be happening, but there's lack of clarity on like, okay, and what does that mean? What does that mean? Like, what can we get this going? But Mars and Cancer trine Saturn is actually really nice for making sure that we're committed and that we have grounding with our actions. Then on the 5th, there is a full moon in Libra. So because we are in Aries season, the full moon is in the opposite sign of Libra. And this full moon is a letting go of some emotional or social dynamic that is no longer necessary. Could be that just in our life we're not dealing with that particular arrangement socially anymore. Could also be that a chapter of like meeting with a group of friends in a certain way, or something that was scheduled is now completed. The sun in Aries will be conjunct Chiron and Jupiter. And that's a big thing going on throughout this month overall, is the sun crossing Chiron and Jupiter. Chiron is an asteroid of healing, of being triggered, of being emotional, and of resolving that. So when it's in major transits, the collective tends to be very triggered, very eager to play victim, but also there's an opportunity to heal these things. And I think about how like Eckhart Tolle, he talks a lot about the pain body, and like when it's triggered, that is your greatest entrance into being healed and being in the now. So similarly, because I listen to Eckhart Tolle, like I like his things, I go through stages where I listen to it and then I go back and whatever. Similarly, you might find that around this full moon on the 5th, your pain body or your ego is fucking triggered. But it's not the end of the world. In fact, it's a great opportunity to look on the bright side and heal that, because the sun will be conjunct Jupiter. The sun and Jupiter together is great for positive manifestations of ego, or using your goodwill and using your actions in a very uplifting way. So around this full moon, look for people to get socially triggered, but also to heal that and be like in good graces with one another. From the 11th to the 12th, the sun is then only conjunct Jupiter. So this is a much more uplifting, positive time. At middle of the month, middle of this April, Sun, Jupiter together, great time to manifest, to do anything around people, to start things. Middle of the month is great. Also on the 11th, Venus enters Gemini, and it will immediately trine Pluto in Aquarius at 0 degrees. So Venus entering Gemini is much more conversational, upbeat, and fast-paced than Venus in Taurus. It does lose dignity because Venus was at home in Taurus, and that's kind of a bummer. But Venus in Gemini is neutral by sign, and it has the pros of being conversational, very bubbly, quite outgoing. The downside is that Venus in Gemini is a little bit commitment phobic and can be talking to a lot of people and leave you on red. However, that's a separate issue. I'll do a full video on Venus in Gemini. So Venus in Gemini, middle of the month, more conversational, motivational, more upbeat. It trines Pluto as well. This offers actually more integrity and more focus to start out this transit. Venus will quickly leave this range, so within a few days we lose the focus, but in the very middle of this month, around the 11th, 12th, etc., Venus trining Pluto is very focused, very diligent, and shows that we are expressing commitment in a way that is respectful. Then on the 14th to the 15th, Venus in Gemini will square Saturn in Pisces. This is where it could feel like there's a blockage or some coldness interfering in our relationships. So Venus squaring Saturn is Venus in an aspect of tension with the planet of restriction and of boundaries. So Venus-Saturn aspects tend to show issues in committing to relationships, in getting along harmoniously. There's something cold getting in the way, and it could feel like we're not being met with warm arms with people we're interested in. Then on the 19th, there is a solar eclipse happening in Aries. So the sun and the moon are together in Aries. It's an Aries new moon, and it is very close to the north node at the very beginning of Taurus. The nodes move backwards because they're not planets, they're not orbiting, they're mathematical, so they will always move backwards, meaning that the nodes are at the end of their transit in very early degrees of Taurus and Scorpio. So if you look at a chart, you will notice that the nodes are red, they're moving retrograde, and that they start at the end of a sign and move to the beginning. This is why this can be an eclipse in Aries, but it is so close to the north node in Taurus that it is counted like as an eclipse in Aries. It's partial, but the sun and the moon are together in Aries, so it's an Aries new moon, meaning it's a solar eclipse because it's close to the north node. And this is a huge catalyst new beginning towards personal empowerment and our own healing and our own uplifting empowerment, because it's conjunct Jupiter and Chiron. So Jupiter, as we already said, is growth, it's abundance, it's positive. Chiron, as we also already said, is triggering but healing. It is very emotional, it's very sensitive. This is an opportunity to erupt the pain body, so to speak, and heal that. So like step into the highest form of ego, this very, very egoic, very self-centered energy, but in your highest good, in your highest form, in order to accelerate what you know and what you think you, like what you know you deserve, basically. So it's a very self-centered solar eclipse, but very empowering. There's nothing wrong with the person living your life, you, to be the center of your life. You know what I mean? Be self-centered. It helps everyone. It helps everyone. You know what I mean? In my opinion, I think that just the more that you honor what you need, what you want, the more tangentially the dominoes in your life please everyone. Like, please assist yourself. Maybe it's just the extreme avoidant personality or attachment style, but I'm just like, please figure yourself out. So I like seeing a solar eclipse in Aries. I think it's nice. Then on the 20th to the 21st, the sun will be in Taurus and it will immediately square Pluto in Aquarius. So Taurus season starts on the 20th. We have more grounding, more calm, a little bit more introverted energy to calm down the month. But the sun will square Pluto from the 20th to the 21st. I have this natally, and it tends to be an aspect of dealing with manipulation or power dynamics in a way that is uncomfortable or dishonest. So like during this time, you could find that egos are up against one another. You want someone to do something, you're not being direct. You're trying to manipulate situations. Could also be someone doing this to you. So as someone born with this, it doesn't mean that I manipulate situations, but that I'm very aware of like the shadow or the dark, and Sun Pluto people tend to have dealt with people manipulating them, being like, am I manipulating this person? It's this tension between taking direct action yourself and being like, am I manipulating, am I acting out of line with this? And it'll be present from the 20th to the 21st. Then on the 21st as well, Mercury stations retrograde, ending the 3-month period from January until April of no planets retrograde. So it's a little sad that we end that 3-month streak. However, Mercury retrogrades are not the end of the world. They are minor inconveniences around travel, communication, tech, and transport. So the last week of the month in particular, I would avoid any substantial travel or signing of contracts. It is not hugely insignificant. If you need to take a trip to see your parents or like whatever, take a flight, not the end of the world. Leave early, do not book a trip that is a super high risk, so to speak. So I wouldn't be concerned. I would just, plan for the inevitable delays and maybe inconveniences last week, but it is not a big deal. If you have any thoughts around this April coming up, I would love to hear them down below, so leave a comment on what you're thinking hearing about this astrology. The Oracle deck card that we have for this April is, I listen to opposing opinions. Okay, cute. So makes sense that this would come with the astrology this month showing people are really fucking triggered. So maybe you're triggered because you disagree. Who would have thought? If you're interested about hearing how this April is playing out for you in your rising sign, I make monthly videos for each and every sign. Check yours out. You will hear exactly how this is showing up in your life specifically. And if you want more detailed approaches to your chart still, I do offer full-length readings as well as mini readings, all linked down below. So I hope that this helps. I hope that you're looking forward to this April, and I will see you in the next one.
There is